The shimmering silhouette of a spacecraft pierced the Earth's atmosphere. It was a sight both beautiful and terrifying, a celestial event that would be remembered for generations. It left a trail of stardust and fear. The people below watched in awe and trepidation, unsure of what this descending star might bring. Inside, a young alien princess, Ilara, huddled. Her eyes darted around the small cabin, taking in the unfamiliar controls and blinking lights. Her heart pounded like a drum. Each beat echoed in her ears, a constant reminder of the peril she faced. Her parents, the king and queen, had made a difficult decision. They sent her away. It was a heart-wrenching farewell, filled with tears and unspoken words. Their planet, Ethel, was under attack. Explosions rocked the cities, and the once peaceful skies were filled with the sounds of war. Earth, with its strange, unfamiliar terrain, was her only hope. She had heard stories of this blue planet, but seeing it with her own eyes was a different experience altogether. Ilara's pod detached from the main ship. It hurtled downwards. Panic swelled. The descent was rapid, and the pod shook violently as it entered the Earth's atmosphere. She clutched onto the single object from home, a crystal amulet. It was a gift from her mother, a symbol of their royal lineage and a source of comfort in these dark times. It pulsed with a faint, comforting light. The gentle glow seemed to whisper promises of safety and hope, even as the world around her seemed to be falling apart. The pod landed with a bone-jarring thud. She was alone. The forest around her was silent save for the distant calls of nocturnal creatures. Ilara took a deep breath, steeling herself for the challenges that lay ahead. She had a mission, and she would not fail. Ilara cautiously opened the pod door. Earth's air hit her, thick and warm. Towering trees dwarfed her. Strange, chirping creatures filled the air with sound. Her violet eyes, wide with wonder and fear, drank in the sights. Earth was unlike anything on Ethel. Days turned into weeks. Ilara struggled. The food, the water, the gravity, it was all so different. The energy bars her parents packed dwindled. Hunger gnawed at her. Loneliness became her shadow. She missed her home, her family. Despair threatened to engulf her. One day, weary and lost, Ilara collapsed near a river. She had been wandering for days, her strength waning with each passing hour. The journey had taken its toll on her, and she could barely keep her eyes open. The sound of the flowing water was a small comfort, a reminder that she was still alive, but she knew she couldn't go on much longer without help. A shadow fell over her. It was a large, looming figure that blocked out the sun, casting a cool shade over her tired body. For a moment she feared it might be a threat, but she was too exhausted to move or even open her eyes fully. She looked up, startled. A young boy with kind eyes and a mop of brown hair stood before her. His eyes were filled with concern and curiosity, and he seemed to be assessing her condition. He couldn't have been more than 12 years old, but there was a maturity in his gaze that belied his age. He offered her water and a concerned smile. His name was Tom. The water was cool and refreshing, and Ilara drank it greedily, feeling a bit of her strength return. Tom watched her with a mixture of relief and curiosity, clearly wondering who she was and how she had ended up in such a state. He was curious about the strange girl in the unusual clothes. Her attire was unlike anything he had ever seen, and it was clear she was not from around here. He had so many questions, but he didn't want to overwhelm her. Despite the language barrier, Ilara sensed his kindness. There was a gentleness in his actions and a warmth in his eyes that made her feel safe. She didn't know how to communicate with him, but she hoped he could understand her needs. She pointed to her mouth, then to the dwindling food pack. Her stomach growled loudly, and she hoped he would understand that she was hungry. She had been surviving on scraps for days, and the thought of a proper meal made her mouth water. Tom understood. He shared his lunch with her, simple bread and cheese. It wasn't much, but to Ilara it was a feast. She ate slowly, savoring each bite, grateful for the boy's generosity. Tom watched her eat, a small smile playing on his lips, happy to see her regaining some strength. It was the most delicious meal she'd ever tasted. The bread was soft and fresh, the cheese rich and creamy. She couldn't remember the last time she had eaten something so satisfying. As she ate, she felt a sense of hope returning, a belief that maybe, just maybe, she would be okay. He gestured to follow him. Hesitantly, Ilara did. She didn't know where he was leading her, but she trusted him. There was something about Tom that made her feel safe, and she knew she had no other choice. As they walked, she felt a sense of companionship forming, a bond that transcended words. She didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like she wasn't alone. Tom took Elara to his home, a small cottage nestled in the woods. The cottage was a quaint little place, surrounded by towering trees and the sounds of nature. It was a stark contrast to the bustling city Elara had imagined, but it felt oddly comforting. His parents were warm and welcoming. They greeted her with open arms, their smiles radiating genuine kindness. Despite the language barrier, their actions spoke volumes. They didn't understand Elara's language but offered her food and shelter. The dinner table was laden with warm home-cooked meals, and they made sure she felt at home. The aroma of freshly baked bread and hearty stew filled the air, making her feel at ease. With hand gestures and drawings, Elara tried to explain who she was and where she came from. She sketched out her homeland, Ethel, with its towering crystal spires and lush green landscapes. The family watched in awe, trying to piece together her story. To her surprise, Tom's family believed her. They listened intently, nodding in understanding. Their acceptance was a beacon of hope for Elara, who had feared rejection. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The seasons changed, and with each passing day, Elara grew more accustomed to her new life. The once unfamiliar surroundings began to feel like home. Elara began to adapt to life on Earth. She learned the customs and traditions of Tom's family, participating in their daily routines and celebrations. She found joy in the simple things, like baking bread and tending to the garden. Tom became her translator, her guide, her best friend. He patiently taught her English, helping her navigate the complexities of the language. Their bond grew stronger with each lesson, each shared laugh. He taught her English and she in turn taught him about Ethel. She shared stories of her homeland, its rich history, and its unique culture. Tom was fascinated, eager to learn more about the world beyond his own. They explored the woods together, their laughter echoing through the trees. The forest became their sanctuary, a place where they could escape and be themselves. They discovered hidden trails, secret clearings, and the beauty of nature in its purest form. At night, they would lie on the grass, stargazing and sharing their dreams. The stars above reminded Elara of Ethel, but they also symbolized the endless possibilities of her new life on Earth. Tom and Elara's bond grew stronger with each passing day, built on trust, understanding, and a shared sense of wonder. Section 5. Lessons from Earth. Tom introduced Elara to the wonders of Earth. They stargazed at night, the vastness of the cosmos reminding Elara of home. They swam in the lake, the water feeling strange yet exhilarating. They read books together, stories of courage and adventure fueling Elara's spirit. Through Tom, Elara learned about human emotions, joy, sadness, fear, and love. She learned about their capacity for kindness, their resilience in the face of adversity. Earth, she realized, was more than just a strange new world. It was a place of beauty, of warmth, of hope. Section 6. A place called home. One day, years later, a familiar shimmer lit up the sky. Elara felt a pang in her heart. It was a ship from Ethel. Her parents had come for her. The war was over. They were safe. Tears welled up in Elara's eyes. She had to leave Earth, leave Tom. Tom hugged her tightly. He understood. He was sad, but also happy for her. He knew she had found a place where she truly belonged. Section 7. A farewell not forgotten. Standing before her parents, Elara felt a wave of relief wash over her. They were safe, and so was she. But a part of her heart remained on Earth with Tom. She knew she would never forget him, or the lessons she had learned on this beautiful, strange planet. As the ship ascended, Earth grew smaller and smaller. Yet the bond she forged with Tom, the memories they shared, remained strong. It was a bittersweet farewell, a chapter closed but a new one ready to be written. Section 8. A new beginning. Life on Ethel was different. The war had changed everything. But Elara had changed too. She carried the spirit of Earth within her, its resilience, its hope, and she used it to help rebuild her planet, to make it a better place. She shared her experiences on Earth, the stories, the friendships, the lessons learned. She became a bridge between two worlds, advocating for understanding and peace. Section 9. The Stars Beckon. Ilara often looked up at the stars, her heart filled with longing and gratitude. She knew that somewhere out there on a blue planet bathed in sunlight, a boy named Tom looked up at the same stars. And in that shared gaze, across galaxies, their friendship continued to shine. The stars, once symbols of fear and uncertainty, now represented hope, connection, and the promise of future adventures.